Hi, I'm Seb Fry, a real estate broker in Northern California. I primarily serve the counties of Santa Cruz, Santa Clara, and Monterey. Welcome to module number 5 of the SellForSure University. In this module of the SellForSure University, I'll go over what you need to do to prepare your home for sale. Properly preparing your home for sale will have a huge impact on how long it takes to sell your home and how much you will sell it for. Pay close attention to this segment as it will pay big dividends for you. In California, a homeowner is not legally compelled to inspect their own property prior to resale. However, a smart seller will do standard inspections such as termite pest inspection, home inspection, septic inspection, and a well inspection. While it is true that the buyer is responsible for getting his or her own inspections, the seller is well advised to have these reports done before the property is put on the market. The results of these reports will help determine at what price you should initially list a property and also identify areas that need attention prior to listing. Don't just use any inspectors. Make sure you are using the best, most thorough inspectors in your marketplace. Check Yelp reviews, Google them, or perhaps look on Angie's List. When you get a home inspection, the report will probably note some items which should be addressed. Pay particular attention to items concerning plumbing, septic, electrical, heating or cooling, roof, foundation or drainage issues, and anything having to do with lead, asbestos, or mold, as these are items that are important health and safety concerns. You should then get bids to cure any significant deficiencies which have been identified. When a buyer goes into contract on your home, they'll have a due diligence period, during which time they can and should investigate all aspects of the property. The seller will also be required to make certain disclosures to the buyer during that due diligence period. A smart seller, however, will have already compiled a complete disclosure package before the property is ever listed for sale, and that disclosure package will be available for inspection for any and all buyers before they make an offer. A full disclosure package, even if there are some things in there which may seem like they'd be red flags for a buyer, actually attracts buyers because it answers questions and reduces uncertainty around the property. It builds confidence in the buying public. They know that they're working with a seller who has nothing to hide, is honest and forthright, and is ready to do business. By having a complete disclosure package available for buyers, you are making it clear that the list price of your property has already fully accounted for all the material aspects of the property, as is, where is. Getting all the disclosures ready up front helps avoid a situation where a buyer, either on their own or as a result of a disclosure made by the seller after they went under contract, learns a material fact about the property which they were not aware of at the time they made the offer. When this happens, it's almost inevitable that there will be some renegotiation of the deal, a delayed closing, a cancellation of sale, or possibly even litigation. There are things which can almost entirely be avoided by preparing a complete disclosure package up front before any offer is made. Crucially, having the disclosures made up front will usually result in a stronger selling price, as it greatly limits a buyer's ability to renegotiate the terms or price of the deal based on their own due diligence. If there's nothing more to uncover beyond what's been disclosed to them, they'll be hard-pressed to come up with a legitimate reason for a lower price later. Homeowner selling their home is required to disclose any material facts that he or she knows about the property. There are many standard disclosure forms that the law requires the seller make available to the buyer, but these disclosures vary from state to state and city by city. In addition to the standard disclosure forms and documentation, the complete disclosure package should include copies of all the inspection reports that you have on the property, even old ones if you still have them from when you purchased the property, and new ones you have hopefully had done prior to listing the property for sale. Include copies of any and all contractor bids for work which the home needs, and copies of invoices for any work recently done. You'll also want to include a preliminary title report and a natural hazard disclosure report, any HOA documentation as required by law, and it's a good idea to include utility bills as well. It's also best to include all government records for the property. That's permit history, any history of building code or planning violations, assessor's data, etc. If your home has a well or a septic system, include not just a current report, but all the historical records as well, which can be obtained from your city or county's environmental health department. When considering the purchase of a home, heating and cooling costs were at least somewhat important to 85% of buyers. Most homes out there could benefit from at least a few minor repairs. Although it's a generally accepted idea that doing repairs prior to putting a home up for sale usually expedites the process and increases the seller's net proceeds, doing repairs is never an automatic slam dunk. Oftentimes, a seller lacks the money to carry out all the repairs a property could use, or doesn't have the time or energy to take care of them prior to selling the home. Whether or not you can do repairs, know that it may be unnecessary and in some cases may not even pay off. If you feel that your ideal buyer is someone who would perhaps prefer a home that needs a little work and views this as an opportunity to build some sweat equity, just market your home with the cost of needed repairs factored into the price. Remember, a lower price will invariably generate more demand than a higher one, and most buyers aren't expecting to find an existing, older home to be in mint condition anyway. Is your home in a neighborhood where many homes are in need of some fixing? If most buyers in the price range are looking at other homes which need a similar level of repair, there's less expectation that the seller will need to do these repairs themselves. Also, if you repair a home to the point where it's in significantly better condition than the homes that surround it, it's less likely you'll find a buyer who wants to pay that much extra to live in your particular neighborhood. On the other hand, if your home is in appreciably worse condition than the other homes in the neighborhood, then bringing the home up to the neighborhood standard will in many cases pay handsome rewards. When real property is transferred in California, the law requires that certain retrofits be made to the property if they have not already been performed. These are usually minor and include installation of smoke and carbon monoxide detectors and seismic strapping for the water heaters. Depending on the location of your property, the local government may require that the toilets and shower heads be low-flow fixtures. There may be additional retrofits required by your local government as well. These retrofits tend not to be very expensive, but could run into hundreds of dollars if you need to replace a bunch of toilets with low-flow models, for example. It's best to do these retrofits prior to putting the home on the market to ensure a smooth and seamless transaction. What's an as-is sale? Well, most sales in California are as-is. This means that the seller intends to sell the home in its present condition without fixing anything. In fact, the standard Realtor California Residential Purchase Agreement contract is written such that the seller will not be obligated to make repairs or correct deficiencies. So whether the home is marketed as is or not, in practice, virtually all homes in California are sold on an as-is basis. If anything is found by the buyer in need of repair, the seller is typically under no obligation to do any repairs or credit the buyer for them in any way. Having said that, even though the purchase agreement states that the property will be sold as is, remember that the buyer has their due diligence or inspection period. If they find out anything about the property they didn't know when they made the offer, they'll usually try to renegotiate for a repair, a reduction in price, or some kind of credit. This can easily run into thousands of dollars. The good news is, the seller is under no obligation to do any repairs, offer any credits, or reduce the price. That's the beauty of an as-is contract. However, many sellers, when presented with the prospect of having the deal fall apart or conceding a few $1,000s to the buyer, will oftentimes make a concession to the buyer just to keep the deal going. These kind of shenanigans on the part of a buyer can be largely or entirely avoided by providing a complete disclosure package up front. If a buyer is given a thorough and accurate representation of the property's condition and all other material facts, the buyer will find no angle from which to renegotiate any part of the deal. Although the purchase agreement is typically for an as-is sale, a seller can turn that idea on its head and instead market the property as a certified pre-owned home, much as Mercedes-Benz and other luxury car makers market some of their second-hand vehicles. There is considerable advantage to marketing a home as move-in ready. These are magic words to a large segment of the buying public. Despite all you have heard and read about buyers looking to build sweat equity and who would love a fixer-upper, the reality is that the majority of buyers prefer a home that looks beautiful and won't be in need of immediate repair. If it's good for Mercedes, why not market your property specifically to these buyers as certified pre-owned homes? You're saying that your home is one that has been inspected by the relevant professionals and all the various necessary repairs have been completed. The home is marketed with termite clearance and all recommended repairs by the home inspector have likewise been addressed. In addition to marketing the home as having had all the work done, the seller can put their money where their mouth is and include in the marketing that the property comes with a 1-year or 2-year home warranty. That will provide buyers with a lot of peace of mind that your house is really going to be a quality, no-hassle home for them. There are a number of things which you can and should do that don't cost very much but can result in getting your home sold more quickly and for a significantly higher price. A lot of sellers do not take this seriously and they end up leaving thousands of dollars behind. What you see here is a list of the top priorities when it comes to getting your home ready for sale. This list is presented in order of importance and cost effectiveness. The first 4 items, cleaning up the exterior, removing clutter, depersonalizing, and thoroughly cleaning your home, provide the biggest bang for the buck, especially since comparatively few bucks are required. The next items are more expensive, but painting, repairing or replacing flooring, and updating window treatments, for example, new blinds, curtains, or shutters, If those can be done cost effectively, that will broaden the appeal to more buyers, it'll speed the sale, and usually result in a significantly higher sale price. Curb appeal is important because it sets the tone for what the buyer is going to see inside. If the buyer likes the exterior, he or she will be more inclined to also like the interior. In fact, if the home lacks curb appeal, many buyers won't even get out of their car, they'll just keep driving. Making sure that the exterior pops is well worth it to get buyers eager to see what's inside. The process of getting your home ready for sale and keeping it show ready is what's known as staging. The goal of home staging is to make a home appealing to the highest number of potential buyers by transforming it into a welcoming, attractive place, well, more so than it already is, of course. According to HomeGain.com, homeowners who spent at least $500 on staging their homes received at least a 343% return on that investment. You can see why by looking at these pictures. Which room looks more appealing to you? According to the Real Estate Staging Association, in controlled tests selling identical homes, professionally staged versus those not staged, the non-staged houses sold in 102 days, while the staged houses sold in 45 days. According to the National Association of Realtors, the average staging investment is between 1 and 3% of the home's asking price, which generates a return of 8 to 10%. Investing just a couple of $1,000s to make your home look its best will give you a huge return on your investment. So what's all this prep work going to cost you? Unfortunately, every home and situation is so different that there is no simple formula you can use to figure out these costs before you begin. But what you can do is create a budget from the get-go and try to work within that budget. You'll also want to budget for moving and storage. Almost all homes will benefit from having a portion of the furnishings, personal effects, housewares, and the like moved into storage so that buyers will be better able to see the house and envision it with their own furnishings and decor, not yours. After your inspections are completed, you'll want to look at getting repair bids to address any outstanding maintenance your home needs. Before you look at landscaping, cleanup, or any cosmetic improvements, you'll want to talk to a staging company or two and get some ideas of where you'll want to make specific investments in your home's appearance to maximize the marketability and sale price. If you give your stager a budget to work with, they craft a plan which will meet your budget while providing the maximum return for your money. Okay, this completes module number 5 of the SellForSure University.